They didn't see him coming, because they never believed he could rise. He was the quiet one, the one no one noticed, the one they overlooked, mocked, avoided, and ignored. But that was their biggest mistake, because the man they ignored, he was building something no one saw. He was building himself. There's a certain kind of man the world never prepares for, not because he isn't capable, not because he lacks potential, but because he's invisible when he's broken. Because when he's quiet, no one asks questions, no one checks in, no one cares. He walks alone, not by choice, but by force. The world labels him as weak, awkward, or even lost. But what they don't understand is that silence doesn't mean surrender. And invisibility is often the birthplace of transformation. He was the kind of boy who sat in the back, not because he didn't have something to say, but because every time he tried to speak, someone reminded him that his voice didn't matter. Every time he showed emotion, they called him soft. Every time he tried to step forward, they pushed him 2 steps back. And so he learned not how to fight, but how to disappear. Not how to shout louder, but how to build quietly, in shadows, in silence, in pain. He wasn't angry. He was focused. Focused in a way only the ignored can understand. He watched people celebrate men who pretended to be strong. Men with noise, not depth. Men with style, not struggle. Men with applause, not authenticity. But he didn't envy them, because deep down he knew they had something to prove, and he didn't. Because the truth is, when a man is truly rebuilding himself, he's not loud about it. He doesn't post about it. He doesn't beg for attention. He disappears. He bleeds in silence. He dies in silence. And then, one day, he's reborn. The pain that once suffocated him becomes fuel. The loneliness that once broke him becomes armor. The silence that once haunted him becomes power. He learns to live without approval. He learns to move without permission. He learns to fight battles that no one claps for, and win wars no one knows about. This is the making of a man the world never sees coming. Because the world is too busy watching the loud ones, while the quiet ones become dangerous. He didn't chase revenge. He chased purpose. He didn't return to prove people wrong. He returned to prove himself right. Because the truth is, when you've been ignored long enough, you stop begging for recognition. You stop explaining yourself. You stop waiting to be seen. And you start becoming the kind of man that even your enemies cannot ignore. He stopped texting people first. He stopped trying to fix what was already broken. He stopped running after validation, and he started walking alone forward in silence. He walked into his own darkness, not because he wanted to, but because no one else would walk it with him. And in that darkness, he found the truth that no one is coming to save him. No one is coming to validate him. No one is coming to wipe his tears or fix his heart. If he doesn't rebuild himself, he'll remain broken forever. And so he rebuilt, not in gyms or on stages, but in quiet nights of self-discipline. In early mornings no one saw. In painful choices no one applauded. In dreams no one believed in. He forgave those who hurt him, not because they deserved peace, but because he did. He dropped the weight of the past, because it was holding down the wings of his future. And when he came back, he didn't look the same. He didn't speak the same. He didn't beg, chase, or explain. He walked in silence. But this time, the world turned to look. Why? Because when a man who was once ignored starts to glow, he becomes unforgettable. They now whisper his name. They wonder where he was all this time. They act like they always believed in him. But he remembers. He remembers the silence, the isolation, the rejection, the betrayal, the fake friends, the ignored calls, the unopened messages. He remembers it all, but he doesn't hate them. He thanks them because their absence gave him the space to rise. He became unstoppable, not because of who supported him, but because of who didn't. Because when the world turns its back on you, you either collapse or you create. He chose to create. He created strength in his suffering. He created vision in his loneliness. He created legacy in his loss. And now, the same world that once ignored him can't look away. That's the irony of life. They laugh while you suffer. They ignore while you grow. They doubt while you build. And then, when you rise, they ask you how you did it. But by then, you're already too far ahead. This is the story of the man who was ignored until he became unstoppable. Not because he wanted fame, but because he finally found himself. He no longer needs attention. He no longer fears being alone. He no longer begs for love or respect or recognition. He became the storm. And storms don't ask permission. They arrive, they destroy the old, and they make way for the new. So if you feel ignored right now, if you feel like no one sees your worth, no one hears your voice, no one believes in your dream good, that means you're exactly where you need to be. Because men like you aren't built in comfort. You're built in fire. You're built in rejection. You're built in the very silence that breaks most people. But you won't break because you're not just another man. You're becoming the man no one saw coming. So if you're still here, listening, it means something inside you is waking up. Maybe you've been ignored. Maybe you've been overlooked. Maybe the world tried to tell you that you don't matter. But let me say this to you: you are not done yet. You weren't born to be invisible. You weren't made to be forgotten. You were built for impact, for strength, for the kind of greatness that doesn't scream. It silently transforms the world. The man you're becoming, he's watching you right now. And every time you choose discipline over comfort, pain over pity, silence over begging, he gets closer. So don't stop now, because one day, the same people who ignored you will whisper your name in rooms they never thought you'd walk into. And when that day comes, walk in calm, walk in silence, and let your life make the noise. Subscribe if you're ready to become that man, not just for the videos, but for the journey, because you are not done.